Your Excellency, Minister of Interior and National Reconciliation, Ahmed Al-Faqih, Excellencies, Ministers, State Ministers, representatives of members of Parliament, the Houses, representatives of the international community, the UNSRSG, and my dear colleagues and esteemed board members, Dr. Khadija Ozoble and Andrew Gilmore, the Executive Director of Berghoff. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a wonderful opportunity for us to be here at Principles for Peace. It's a great honor. We're very grateful for the gracious invitation of the Somali federal government for the Principles for Peace launch here in Somalia. This is an important milestone for us, and I recall that last September at the United Nations General Assembly, Somalia was among the first movers, one of the first countries to adopt the Principles for Peace in our launch, along with the government of Germany, the government of the Philippines, the US, and many others in New York. And there's a big significance to that choice, because that choice in adopting the principles embodies a commitment to inclusion, a commitment to participatory processes, a commitment to legitimacy, a commitment to pluralism. So it's a very significant and it's a very interesting opportunity for us to be here and mark this very important moment in seeing how this platform can actually contribute for the longer term building of an inclusive society, reconciliation, and consolidating peace. So it is a source of hope for us globally. I also must take this opportunity to express my heartfelt gratitude to the Honorable President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud and Minister Al-Faqih, who have opened this channel. And really, Dr. Khadija mentioned that it was courageous of Principles for Peace to take the steps. I say it's very courageous of Somalia and of her to champion and push us to move here. As we gather here today, I must say that the principles create a sense of unity of purpose. We are seeing, as we look around this room, the convergence of leaders from diverse sectors of society, from the business sector, from the traditional and religious figures, youth, women, peace builders, academics, and representatives from the governments. And I think this just reflects the rich tapestry of Somali society. It's the very ethos of resilience, dedication, and resolve that we try to emulate in many parts of the world in our work on peace building. And marking this moment in the global context, in a moment when we're living one of the least peaceful moments in modern history, over 50 conflicts are active in my home country, in Palestine, in Gaza, to Sudan. There's significant humanitarian catastrophe unfolding. And in these moments of dark realities around the world, sources of hope and processes like this are actually very, very important. They're very important to be nurtured, to be supported, to be advanced. So as the Somali government is navigating this path to reconciliation, it's ever more pertinent that these efforts continue, and it deserves more international solidarity. It deserves more international support, and recognizing that peace is not merely a destination, it is a journey. It requires a lot of investments, it requires a lot of support. It's very important that we try and shed further light on the efforts of the Somali government at this moment. And this is the spirit of the Principles for Peace, those of dignity, of legitimacy, of accountable security, of pluralism, of subsidiarity. And Minister Al-Faqih spoke about them very eloquently, so I'm not going to go in depth into what they mean, but I have to say that they are embodying the concept of restoring a robust social contract. They're about fostering trust. They're about delivering tangible peace dividends to communities. And when we're talking about legitimacy, and we found out from our global consultation process that it's at the heart of failure of many efforts when there's lack of legitimacy. And legitimacy is really fueled both by inclusion and what peace delivers in terms of dignity, tangible benefits to communities, accountable security, justice. Also emphasizing the principle of subsidiarity, bringing solutions closer to where the issues are moving away from universal templates, recognizing that culture, tradition, and history matters, and local wisdom can find a path that is much faster and much more sustainable in moving forward. So this is the spirit of the Principles for Peace. They provide a framework for action. They provide a benchmark for progress. They're trying to bring some common lexicon, some common compass in the peacemaking and peace-building space, because this space for so long has been a bit like the Wild West. You know, on one hand, we have the humanitarian principles. On the other hand, we have the Geneva Convention, but we don't have a common framework. So that's what the Principles for Peace are about. And they bring with them the idea that in this journey of peace and reconciliation, it requires collective effort. So they bring with them and embody a participatory review mechanism that ensures that there is continued momentum and maximizing the contributions of different segments of society, including the public and the private sector, the civil society, the academia, the traditional and religious leaders, to support the efforts of governments. As Dr. Khadija mentioned, the Principles for Peace are the outcome of a global participatory effort. They came to life out of the realization of this urgency that we're living around the world with this prevalence of conflict, but also the complexity that we are living in this era, to see how we can calibrate our approach and adopt a new approach that is fit for the complexity of this era. It brings together over 120 organizations in coalition. Many of these organizations are also around the room here, both from the NGO sector to the United Nations. UNDP is one of our stakeholder platform, but also a coalition of actors from the diplomatic, academic, defense, and security, along with an international commission on inclusive peace that rallied in support of this initiative. Our journey involved over 100,000 insights gathering from 61 countries. We were very keen to bring in the lived experience, the academic rigor, but very importantly, realpolitik, so it does not get dismissed, that it's seen as politically pragmatic and feasible. And we were very pleased that it was recognized at the UN Security Council in last May during the dialogue as a possible framework for peace building. What our findings brought to the fore is a recognition of the common challenges facing national efforts at peace consolidation, the challenge of legitimacy that I've mentioned about, the challenge of the lack of patience around peace dividends, the impatience for dignity, for justice, for economic opportunity, for accountable governance. And those require a whole of a society approach and require international solidarity and cooperation. Reflecting on this evidence that we've gathered, we acknowledge the unique challenges and opportunities and leadership that Somalia is providing in this space. The National Reconciliation Framework, with its visionary pillars, reimagining a national social contract, acknowledging the past, restoring community relationships, and building trust in government institutions, and supporting recovery and rebuilding, embodies the Principles for Peace. We believe it does offer a comprehensive blueprint for resilient and sustainable peace. So we are very honored that the National Reconciliation Framework is embracing the Principles for Peace already. We do hope that this framework and this platform, this coming together that is here today, will catalyze a process of continuous reflection and accompaniment and support to the National Reconciliation Framework implementation. We believe that Somalia's leadership in this space is trailblazing, and we do hope that this spirit of openness and inclusive spirit will also inspire other countries to follow suit, as Somalia is the front runner in this exercise. I would like to take this opportunity to recognize the Somali civil society and extend you an open invitation to join this effort. Our stakeholder platform in the Principles for Peace is open. It brings over 120 network and organizations. And we welcome your engagement, not only in support of the process here, but really in terms of feeding into the global effort and the movement that we are embarking on. So as we're moving on this, I must recall the Somali proverb, because I think it's one of my favorite. Many hands make light work. I think that's the spirit of this convening. That's the spirit of the Principles for Peace, and I think that's the spirit of the National Reconciliation Framework. So I thank you very much, and I leave you with a lot of hope. Thank you.